the news tonight.
Our humble request to the government that they should treat the arts teachers fairly.
Sheikh Shaban Mubaje castigates government for applying discriminatory methods to solve grievances of public servants.
Allahu Akbar.
Fight insecurity. Muslim titular head Kasim Nachiwinge challenges security forces as hundreds attend Eid prayers. Also tonight, Sri Lanka's President Gotabaya Rajapaksa flees official residence as thousands of protesters angered by economic crisis overrun it. And in sports, Rugby Sevens captain Michael Wokorach speaks about his 17-year trophy-laden career in the rugby sport. Today is Eid Adha, a day to show love, gifts, gather with family and enjoy some feasts. I hope you had a good one. I'm Kalachi Brian with Isaac Luchams on Sign Language. Good evening and welcome to PM Edition. Starting us off today, the Mufti of Uganda, Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubaje, has scoffed at government for what he has described as discriminatory approach to reward public servants. Mubaje, who was speaking during Eid al-Adha prayers at Old Kampala Mosque, the headquarters of Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, says it is a grave mistake to raise salaries of science teachers and reject the cries of arts teachers.
Mubaje was leading prayers to mark Eid al-Adha at Old Kampala Mosque. On Eid al-Adha, Muslims slaughter animals to imitate the act that Ibrahim exhibited when he decided to slaughter his son Ismail as he had been instructed by Allah in a dream. Moments before doing so, God miraculously provided a sheep, which Ibrahim slaughtered. In his sermon, Mubaje expressed dismay over government's decision to enhance salaries of science teachers, yet arts teachers also deserve similar treatment.
That the government has preferred the science teachers to the arts teachers by raising salaries of the science teachers, and then leaving behind those who are teaching arts. So they should correct this gradually, maybe by stopping recruiting arts teachers in their teacher training colleges. Let them phase out those subjects.
On 15th June, teachers who subscribe to the Ugandan National Teachers Union, UNATU, started their month-long strike demanding pay rise from government. The strike was called off last week. The UNATU leaders held talks with President Museveni. Mubaje said science subjects as well as humanities that are taught by arts teachers are equally important to the development of Uganda.
This is our humble request to the government that they should treat the arts teachers fairly, because it is not the fault of the arts teachers. It is the fault, if at all, of the government which put those subjects on the timetable. But let them not victimize the innocent teachers who studied arts and have been teaching and have been very active serving their nation. Let them be paid fairly like their counterparts.
Mubaje said it is sensible for Muslims to participate in the process of changing the leadership of Uganda Muslim Supreme Council.
So let's support the program of the review of the Constitution, and thereafter let's all engage ourselves, get involved in the general elections so that we form a strong, united Uganda Muslim Supreme Council.
Flavian Inkuze for CTV, PM Edition.
The Supreme Mufti Sheikh Muhammad Galabazi has asked Muslims to shun businesses that contradict with Quran teachings. Galabazi was speaking during Eid Adha prayers at Jubilee Mosque. We were there.
Muslims across the globe have thronged mosques to celebrate Eid al-Adha. At Jubilee Mosque, hundreds of Muslims showed up for the prayers.
Allahu Akbar.
The prayers were led by Sheikh Ishaka Mtengu, who advised Muslims to use the day to sacrifice the best in their lives.
Now to us who are here, who have not been blessed, who have not been called, who have not been able to answer the call of Allah, probably He has not called us yet. To us, it is also a great day.
The Supreme Mufti Muhammad Galabuzi warned Muslims to avoid engaging in businesses that contradict their religion.
Mubalabule, mubawandikire, mubayite, kubibiri basalewo kimu. Okwagala obusiraamu, kubeera abasiraamu, oba okubeera abatali basiraamu.
The spokesperson of the Chibuli Muslim faction, Haji Chigundu, says Muslims should use Eid to help the needy.
That we are the brethren, we are supposed to behave like brothers and sisters, have a feeling for one another, because he who has the ability to slaughter has to do that and share out the meat, regardless of any creed. Whether you belong to this faith or the other, you're all supposed to share.
According to Chigundu, Eid al-Adha is a crucial celebration to Muslims.
We also learn that we have to engage, build a relationship with our families, our children, our wives. Because Ibrahim went through this. It was not only him. He did not order his own son, even when he had gotten an order, command from Almighty God, but he decided to engage the son. This is significant, and he sends out a message to everyone that we are supposed to engage our children in love and get their views and ideas, and even the wives. This is what has got to happen. So these are all messages that we get from this Eid as performed by Prophet Ibrahim.
Well, the titular head of Muslims, Prince Kasim Nachiwinge Kakungulu, is worried about criminality in the country. He says security agencies should step up their game to protect Ugandans and their property. We have more.
Traditionally, after Eid prayers at Chibuli Mosque, a selected group of Muslims, mainly royals, leading business people, and politicians who are allied to Chibuli Muslim function, gather at the home of the titular head of Muslims in Uganda, Prince Kasim Nachiwinge Kakungulu, for a feast. Nachiwinge told his guests that it's a milestone to celebrate Eid al-Adha. He, however, expressed concern over skyrocketing commodity prices in Uganda, which situation, he says, is worsened by the government's admission that it can do nothing to change.
And we don't have a solution as of now. All we can say is to appeal to all of you, brethren and all Ugandans at large, that if you have any income stream, handle it with care, handle with caution, avoid extravagance, avoid spending it anyhow.
Nachiwinge asks security forces to end the rising crime wave in the country.
Seek the indulgence of the Minister for Security and the Ministers for Internal Affairs, as well as the security chiefs, to look into this issue, find a way of solving it before it gets out of hand. These people are setting up roadblocks on many roads leading into the city. Sometimes as early as 9 in Chengera, they set up a checkpoint at 9 p.m.
The spokesperson of Chibuli Muslim faction, Muhammad Chigundu, says Muslims should use this period to promote harmony.
Ibrahim had to wait for so many years until he was 86, he was patient, and then he got a son. And when he got a son, when this patience was ordered to slaughter, he managed to implement that, but God came and had to set down a sacrifice of the sheep to help him. But even then, when he appreciated and he had been patient, God had to give him more, and had to give him another son.
The Deputy Katikiro, Haji Twaha Kawasi, asked Muslims to be exemplary in society.
To celebrate Eid, it is a day of sacrifice. We are going to be slaughtering animals. We need to remember that we have other people who are needy. So as you slaughter, please think of the neighbors, regardless of their religion, race, or tribe. As long as somebody is your neighbor, as long as somebody in your community with, please celebrate with and be able to share whatever you're able to share.
Story compiled by Chris Semakula for CTV PM Edition.
Moving on, Muslims across the country have been urged to take part in the forthcoming Uganda Muslim Supreme Council leadership elections. Leader of the tablet, also known as Jamafil Salafia, Sheikh Yunis Kamoga, rallied Muslims during Eid al-Adha prayers at Nachivo Blue Primary School.
Muslims subscribing to the Nakasero Jamal Salafia sect held their prayers at Nachivo Blue Primary School. In attendance were children, youth and elders from different sectors of the economy. The message of unity took center stage.
Omwaka gulo gumazeko wateka mu nnyimbe ez'abajjajjaabo ne basengaabo ensimi mpitirivu mu busiraamu otaddemu ki kubanga essaawa ino ogenda kwolekera ebyo tubyebuuza nga tuli muzikiti gwazimbibwa amayindi omuzikiti guyimiriddewo ku miranga buli swala twebuuza ekibuzo ekyokulala tulikoma ddi okkuba emiranga mu muzikiti sinnakasero naye buli muzikiti mulanga.
In the same spirit, Tabligh Muslim sect leader Sheikh Yunis Kamoga challenged Muslims across the country to take part in the forthcoming elections for the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council.
So I call you, all Muslims where you are, to be with us, to correct these mistakes. Like they asked me about Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, chaos, which is there. My answer is that you go and elect a good member to be in next General Assembly, inshallah. If you lead that, you'll do that one, inshallah we shall win and we shall do anything possible, inshallah.
Kayunga District Resident Commissioner, who is the former spokesperson of the Ugandan Muslim Supreme Council, Alhaji Nselo Tumba, urged Muslims to take advantage of government's development programs like the parish development model to foster development.
All these programs like PDM, parish development model, Mioga and other programs, you find a group there, any Muslim circle there, any Muslim enterprise. But surprisingly, when they reach on gathering like Mauledi, like they start castigating government. You are setting us, you don't involve us in your programs, but really you can't be promoted to the arm unless you join it.
Mhiri, CTV edition.
All Sri Lankans raided their president's home and swam in the presidential swimming pool. All that after the break.
Since 1963, this shirt has united fans and players across the country. It is
Welcome back to PM Edition. I am Kalachi Brian with Isaac Luchams on Sign Language. A three-day meeting for the Pan-African movement has started at Silver Spring Hotel in Kampala. Participants from several African countries are in attendance. General Kahindo Tafire, Uganda's Internal Affairs Minister and a confessed Pan-Africanist, says he is disappointed by the failure of the African Union to support Pan-Africanism.
General Kahindo Tafile, the chairperson of the Global Pan-African Movement, expressed disappointment over the failure by the African Union to support the Pan-African Movement. He says it is time for young people to spearhead the development of the Pan-African Movement.
I think it's time for us to hand over to younger people, because like I told you, I'm now 71. Sure, if you haven't done much at anything at 71, if you haven't done at 75, then don't expect to that's time to retire. It's time we brought in fresh blood to take over from us, but there should be a learning process also, so that we tutor them and hand over the movement.
Ikawe Buting, the General Secretary, Pan-African Movement, says they are determined to ensure that Africa is united.
Whether it's African business people, whether it's students, whatever area we're talking about, health-wise, everything. If we're united, we have strength. Right now, we're not united. So we become the walking mat of all of the countries, the EU, the Americans, you name which place this is coming from.
Well, Africa, united we stand, divided we fall. Now, on July 4th, every year, Rwanda celebrates her Liberation Day to mark the end of 100 days of genocide in which close to 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus were killed in 1994. In Uganda, the Rwanda High Commission celebrated the day on Friday.
July 4th, 1994, that is when the Rwandese Patriotic Army captured the city of Kigali, which was the center of gravity of the genocidal forces. I'm not going to go into history, but you know, when RPF and RPA started the war in 1990, there was a cause which have many causes I have mentioned. So it culminated into a genocide, and the RPA managed to stop that genocide on July 4th. So we preferred to celebrate it today here on a Friday. But the essence is to remember that 28 years ago, our country was on the verge of collapse because of governments which had been there for many years, which had caused many problems to our society. But ultimately, the RPA came in and liberated the country. So it is a liberation day.
On the African continent, European Union and Morocco have promised to work hand in hand to curb smugglers. And in Guinea-Conakry, the Court of Appeal has freed political activists who are opposed to the junta's transitional government. In a dramatic escalation of the ongoing economic crisis in Sri Lanka, a top defense source who spoke on condition of anonymity to AFP has confirmed that Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the embattled president of the country, fled his official residence in the capital on Saturday before protesters calling for his resignation stormed its compound. The insider claimed that the president was escorted to safety, that troops had fired shots into the air to keep mobs of enraged people from storming the president's palace. In one of the largest anti-government demonstrations in the troubled country this year, tens of thousands of protesters broke through police barricades to attack the president's official residence. According to a witness, the European Commission has vowed to step up its work with Morocco to fight people smugglers following the death of 23 people at the Morocco-Spanish border 2 weeks ago. EU Commissioner for Home Affairs Ylva Johansson and Spanish Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska met with Morocco's Interior Minister Abdelafi Latif in Rabat to discuss the events of June 24th when hundreds of sub-Saharan migrants and asylum seekers attempted to storm through a border post and scale a border fence into Melilla. In addition to the deaths, more than 70 civilians were injured. After the meeting, Johansson said in a video message the parties discussed how they can further cooperate on fighting the smugglers, preventing such violent and dangerous situations. The European Commission has said in response it would enhance police cooperation with Morocco, including joint investigations. Videos showing black men lying on the ground that day, some motionless and bleeding as Moroccan officers stood over them, sparked public outrage and condemnation from a United Nations chief official. Other images showed groups of men climbing a fence while hurling rocks at Moroccan anti-riot police and collapsing on the ground. Both Grande Malaska and Johansson praised Morocco for its work, which according to the European Commission has prevented 26,000 irregular departures and is doing an important job of containing irregular migration. The Court of Appeal in Conakry has freed Saila and Ba, who were arrested on charges of producing and disseminating through a computer system insulting remarks against the junta-appointed parliament, the National Transitional Council. On Friday, the prosecution told the defendants that they were damaging the country's image on social media, but requested a dismissal of the case and the release of the defendants. There has been widespread political condemnation of their heavy-handed arrests, which sparked protests in Conakry from Tuesday to Thursday, in which 17 police officers were injured, according to the police. The protests were among the first against the administration of military ruler Mamadi Doumbia, who took power after a coup in September. The junta in May banned any public demonstrations that could be construed as threatening public order. The FNDC had initially called protests for June 23rd, but indicated they were prepared to give the transitional government a chance to set a proposed dialogue in motion. However, their patience snapped after a meeting with the authorities FNDC slammed as a parody. Doumbia has pledged to hand over power to electeds within 3 years. The Economic Community for West African States rejected his timeline at a meeting on July 3rd, but did not announce new sanctions. Guinea is suspended from the body of the 15-nation bloc. Well, we apologize for that technical glitch, but away from Africa, in Asia, Sri Lankan president has fled his presidential home after protesters stormed it. And in the US, Twitter threatens to sue Elon Musk after he pulled out of the $44 billion merger deal. In a dramatic escalation of the ongoing economic crisis in Sri Lanka, a defense source who spoke on condition of anonymity to AFP has confirmed that Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the embattled president of the country, fled his official residence in the capital Saturday before protesters calling for his resignation stormed its compound. The insider claimed that the president was escorted to safety, that troops had fired shots into the air to keep mobs of enraged people from storming the president's palace. In one of the largest anti-government demonstrations in the troubled country this year, tens of thousands of protesters broke through police barricades to attack the president's official residence. According to a witness, the protesters poured into Colombo's government district, yelling anti-presidential chants and tearing down multiple police barricades to get to Rajapaksa's home. The witness that despite police shooting rounds in the air, the enraged mob continued to storm the presidential palace. The 22 million population island is experiencing the biggest financial instability in 7 decades as a result of a severe foreign exchange shortage that restricted imports of fuel, food and medicine. President Gotabaya and the Rajapaksa clan has been blamed for the nation's collapse. Since March, most peaceful demonstrations have called for his resignation. However, since the cash-strapped nation ceased receiving fuel shipments, forcing school closures and rationing of gasoline, diesel for best services, discontent has gotten worse. Twitter said that they will be suing Tesla CEO Elon Musk after he pulled out of the $44 billion agreement to buy the company. Twitter's chairman, Brett Taylor, says they are committed to closing the transaction. The price as agreed upon by Mr. Musk and plans to pursue legal action to enforce the merger agreement. In the latest Securities and Exchange Commission filing, Musk's lawyers say that billionaire will not be going forward with the takeover due to concerns over fakers. While Twitter puts the number below 5%, Musk was of the opinion that it was around 20% of total users. In the initial deal, both parties agreed on a termination fee in case the deal does not go through, and as a result, Musk is currently in the terms and will have to pay $1 billion to Twitter. What was clearly stated by Musk and his team, Twitter believes that he is trying to avoid paying the amount as it was not mentioned anywhere in the SEC filing on Friday. As a result, a legal battle is expected between the two parties at the end of a long-drawn takeover battle. According to several media outlets, earlier, an internal memo sent by Twitter General Counsel Sean Edgett told staffers to refrain from tweeting, slacking, or sharing any comment about the merger and that management will be very limited on what can be shared. It is a short break for now. Keep it TV as we read sports news. Welcome back in our sports news tonight. With 19 days left to the opening of the Commonwealth Games, the Rugby Sevens national team continue to train ahead of the games at Chadondo Rugby Ground. The Rugby Sevens captain, Michael Wokorach, speaks to CTV about his 17-year trophy-laden career in the rugby sport.
Mistakes now, and it is Wokorach this time. You see he's got plenty of size, but he's got a step, and there is the generosity